Imagine standing at the dead center of a massive echoing stadium.
Oh, man.
Right. 50,000 people are screaming so loudly you can literally feel the vibration in your chest. And at the end of a 22-yard strip of dirt, a guy is sprinting toward you, winding up to hurl a solid sphere of leather and cork at over 90 miles an hour.
Which is just a terrifying visual.
It really is. And you have less than half a second to react. If your footwork is, even a millimeter off, if your eyes lose focus for a microsecond, you don't just fail, you lose the championship for your entire country.
Yeah, the pressure is just unimaginable.
Exactly. And today, for you, our listener, we are looking at a man who essentially lived inside that half second of absolute crushing pressure.
Right.
Our source for this deep dive is a comprehensive biographical overview of Pakistani cricket legend Javed Miandad.
A true icon.
Absolutely. But our mission today isn't just to recite a Wikipedia page or rattle off sports statistics. We want to use his story to deconstruct the actual anatomy of extreme resilience, high-pressure execution, and enduring leadership.
Because those are things anyone can use, right?
Exactly. We want to unpack how you can apply these world-class mindsets to the high-stakes moments in your own life. Because finding a once-in-a-generation talent is, it's like discovering a diamond in the rough.
It is.
But to understand greatness, we really have to start where it was forged, right? The bustling streets of Karachi.
Yeah, it really is the ultimate case study for human performance under pressure. When we look at this career, which amazingly spanned over 2 decades, starting from his international debut in 1975, we aren't just observing a guy with a lot of natural talent.
Right.
We're looking at a masterclass in how early environmental constraints can build this ironclad psychological foundation. We're talking about world-class technical proficiency that was forged in some of the most unpredictable conditions imaginable.
Okay, so that's a perfect transition. Because I want to know, how does someone actually get from playing street cricket to facing the formidable West Indies in a 1975 international debut?
Well, it's quite a journey.
Right. Our source notes he was born on June 12, 1957 in Karachi, and his early development happened entirely on these local rough-and-tumble grounds.
Yeah, very far from professional facilities.
Exactly. But it led to this massive domestic circuit success. The text highlights his technical proficiency and unyielding determination, which culminated in that remarkably composed 1975 debut. But I have to pause in those Karachi streets for a second.
Why, sure.
How exactly does an unpredictable local ground shape a player's composure? You'd think bad facilities would just create bad habits.
You would think that, yeah.
It's like learning to write complex code on a broken, glitchy keyboard. You'd assume it makes you sloppy, but maybe it makes you absolutely flawless when you finally sit down at a high-end setup.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's all about the brain's predictive models. On a perfectly manicured international pitch in London or Melbourne, the cricket ball behaves with a degree of mathematical predictability,
Like, it bounces exactly how you expect it to.
Right. If it pitches at a certain length, it will bounce to a certain height. But on a rough, dusty local ground in Karachi in the late 1960s, every single delivery is an anomaly.
Wow.
The surface is uneven. There are cracks in the dirt. One ball might hit a pebble and shoot straight up at your throat, and the next might hit a patch of loose sand and barely bounce above your ankles.
That sounds dangerous, honestly.
Oh, it can be? To survive in that environment, your reaction time has to transcend conscious thought.
So you literally don't have the time to think like, okay, the ball is here, I should move my foot there.
You don't. Your central nervous system has to be in constant hyper-alert communication. You can't rely on a textbook, premeditated swing.
Because the textbook doesn't apply to a cracked dirt field.
Exactly. Your eyes have to track the seam of the bowl in real time, and your hands have to adjust in milliseconds. What this does neurologically is it forces the brain to become incredibly comfortable with chaos.
Okay, let's unpack this, because that perfectly explains the 1975 debut against the West Indies.
Oh, absolutely.
At the time, the West Indies were fielding some of the most terrifying, aggressive fast bowlers in the history of the sport. A lot of young players would step onto that international pitch and just completely freeze in the headlights.
Which is honestly the natural physiological response to a 90-mile-an-hour projectile flying at your head.
Yeah, I'd run away.
Right. The average person's brain floods with cortisol, the stress hormone. But because he had spent his formative years training his nervous system to handle total, unmitigated unpredictability on the streets of Karachi, his baseline for panic was fundamentally different.
He was just used to it.
Facing the West Indies wasn't a shock to his system. It was just a different flavor of the chaos he already knew how to navigate.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, that 1975 debut wasn't just a sudden magical showing of talent. It was the revelation of a deep-seated composure built during those early domestic years.
Wow.
The environmental constraints of his youth didn't hold him back. They acted as a hypergravity training chamber that gave him the ultimate competitive advantage.
I love that. It fundamentally rewires how we should look at early struggles. But, surviving a debut is one thing. True legends are defined by how they operate when the stakes are at their absolute highest.
Yes, pressure cookers.
Exactly. The source material outlines some massive statistical achievements. Over 8,000 runs in one-day internationals and over 3,000 runs in test matches.
Which are phenomenal numbers.
But statistics are just numbers on a page. Here's where it gets really interesting. The 1986 Austral-Asia Cup final against India.
Arguably one of the most cinematic moments in the history of the sport.
Cinematic is the right word. He scores 116 runs, not out, and the entire tournament comes down to the final ball of the match.
It doesn't get more tense than that.
It really doesn't. Pakistan needs 4 runs to win. That means he has to hit a boundary. And he steps up, reads the bowler, and smashes a last ball 6 to win the game.
Incredible.
For those unfamiliar, hitting a 6 means hitting the ball completely over the boundary rope in the air. It's the cricket equivalent of a walk-off home run.
And in a final against your biggest rival, no less.
Exactly. It's like a high-stakes business scenario where you have to deliver the winning line of a pitch with exactly 1 second left on the clock. But I want to get into the granular mechanics here. How does a human being physically execute a complex motor skill when their heart is pounding and the hopes of a nation are riding on one swing?
What's fascinating here is the psychological mechanism of cognitive load management. Under extreme pressure, a normal athlete experiences a severe degradation of fine motor skills.
Because the adrenaline just takes over.
Right. Adrenaline makes you want to fight or flee. That usually results in swinging too hard, gripping the bat too tight, or taking your eye off the ball because you're already anticipating the result.
And be that tunnel vision.
Yes, tunnel vision focused entirely on the fear of failure. What Miandad demonstrated in that final second was the complete suppression of the occasion.
So he had to basically erase the 50,000 screaming fans from his reality.
He had to erase the fans, the tournament, the opponent, and the scoreboard. In that fraction of a second, the only thing that exists in the universe is the bowler's wrist and the leather ball.
That is wild.
And to hit a last ball 6 against a Yorker-length delivery, which is a ball aimed directly at the batsman's toes, traditionally the hardest ball to hit for power that requires an outrageous level of biomechanical precision.
So he had to instantly calculate all that geometry.
He had to read the bowler's intent from the release point, calculate the trajectory, physically step out to turn a toe-crushing ball into something he could elevate, and then execute a flawless swing.
And the detail that really stands out to me in the source isn't even just the final 6. It's the fact that his 116-run innings is listed as not out.
Yes, that is the crucial context here.
Why is that so important?
Well, the last ball 6 is the highlight reel, but the not out is the real story of human endurance. Being not out at the end of an innings like that means he didn't just come to the crease fresh in the final moments to hit a lucky shot.
Oh, right. He had been out there working for it.
He was out there for hours. He endured the physical exhaustion of running between the wickets in the heat. He survived the changing tactics of multiple different bowlers trying to exploit his weaknesses.
It's like a marathon before a sprint.
Exactly. He watched his teammates get out, managed the mounting pressure of a climbing required run rate, and kept his cognitive load perfectly balanced over and over again until the final second. It demonstrates his ability to anchor a team under immense pressure and see the job through.
It's just this monumental mental compartmentalization, but hitting a dramatic game winner requires explosive nerve. Sustaining greatness requires profound adaptability.
Which is a whole different skill set.
Right. The source highlights his 163-run innings against India in the 1982 Test series, showing incredible technical brilliance, and then his double century against England in the 1983 Test series in highly challenging conditions.
2 very different environments.
Exactly. And people throw around the word adaptability like it just means putting on a different jersey.
Yeah.
But going from playing in the subcontinent to playing in England, what is the mental whiplash of that? Like, it sounds like an Olympic sprinter suddenly being told, hey, you need to win an ultramarathon in the freezing snow.
That is a brilliant analogy. It is a fundamental shift in the physics engine of the sport.
Wow.
When we look at the 1983 Test series in England, we have to understand the specific atmospheric and geological challenges.
Okay, like what?
The climate in England is colder, the air is often heavier and more humid, and the pitches are usually greener, which retains moisture. Furthermore, they use a different type of cricket ball, the Duke ball, which has a much more pronounced seam.
So the ball is literally interacting with the air differently.
Completely differently. In the heavy, humid air of England, the pronounced seam of the ball disrupts the aerodynamics as it flies.
Which makes it curve.
Yes, it causes it to swing or curve violently midair. Then, when it hits that moist green pitch, the ball seams, meaning it grips the surface and deviates sharply off the bounce.
That sounds impossible to hit.
It behaves with a malicious unpredictability that is entirely different from the low, dusty bounce of a Karachi pitch.
So everything his muscle memory knew had to be aggressively overridden.
Precisely. His instinct might tell him to step forward and drive the ball. But in England, that same ball might swing late and catch the edge of his bat, getting him out.
So his own nervous system is basically lying to him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is why scoring a double century, which is 200 runs in a single innings in challenging foreign conditions, is the ultimate proof of a player's technical adaptability.
It's not just hand-eye coordination anymore.
No, you're constantly calculating the swing, suppressing your natural urges, and actively rewriting your own implicit instincts ball by ball. It proves his underlying technique was so structurally sound that he could dismantle it and rebuild it for a foreign environment.
It's just proof that true mastery isn't rigid, right? It's fluid. But, okay, the same unyielding determination that makes someone technically brilliant can also make them a highly complex, sometimes controversial figure when it comes to team dynamics and authority.
Oh, absolutely.
Our source text points out his outspoken nature and his occasional conflicts with cricketing authorities. It was definitely a known source of controversy.
He was never one to back down from the front office.
Right. Yet, in the same breath, the text praises his captaincy style, saying it was focused on strategy, motivation, and unity. And crucially, it highlights his role in the 1992 Cricket World Cup victory, where his leadership was absolutely vital, even though he wasn't the official captain in the final.
Yeah, that's a very interesting dynamic.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to push back a little on this narrative.
Yeah.
Aren't unified teams usually led by rule followers, the diplomats who keep the peace? How does a guy who openly clashes with authorities actually maintain locker room unity?
This raises an important question about how we fundamentally define leadership. We have a tendency, especially in modern sports, to confuse compliance with leadership.
That's a great point.
We assume the person who smiles, follows every directive from the board, and never rocks the boat is the one who commands the room. But in a hyper-competitive locker room, athletes don't rally behind compliance.
They rally behind whoever can actually help them win.
Exactly. They rally behind competence and conviction. His conflicts with the cricketing authorities weren't just creating chaos for the sake of it, they were the byproduct of a fiercely independent mind. He was willing to fight the establishment if he believed it was best for his players.
Oh, I see. So the rebellion actually built trust with his teammates, because they knew he was fighting for them, not just trying to get a promotion from the bosses.
Precisely. When your team sees that you are willing to take the heat from the authorities to protect them, it breeds an intense, unbreakable loyalty.
That makes perfect sense.
And the 1992 World Cup is the perfect illustration of this. Imran Khan was the official captain, but Miandad was the tactical engine room on the field.
So he didn't even have the captain's armband in the final.
On paper, he was just another player. But true influence is rarely tied to an official title. Leadership is about who the team looks to when the pressure is suffocating. His ability to inspire his team overshadowed the lack of a formal title.
So what was he actually doing on the field if he wasn't officially in charge?
He was the strategic anchor. He was reading the pitch, analyzing the opposition's field placements, and constantly talking to the younger players, managing their cognitive load, just like he managed his own.
Just keeping everyone grounded.
Yes. His ability to motivate, combined with his unparalleled understanding of the game, completely transcended the formal hierarchy. He led through sheer force of will and deep tactical empathy.
Tactical empathy. I love that. It proves you don't need a title to be the leader. You just have to take the intellectual weight of the moment onto your own shoulders. But I'm wondering, what happens when the outspoken player puts down the bat?
It's always a tricky transition.
Right, because the natural progression, according to the source, is turning that rebellious, high-pressure experience into a curriculum for others. The text covers his post-retirement contributions, like transitioning into coaching, serving as the head coach of the Pakistan national team, and his role as a commentator and analyst.
He became a real benchmark in Pakistani cricket.
But I have to ask, do great instinctual players actually make good coaches? It feels like taking a musical genius who just naturally hears symphonies and asking them to write a step-by-step instruction manual for a beginner. How do you teach what just comes naturally to you?
Historically, it is a notoriously difficult transition.
Those who can't do, teach.
Exactly. You see it across all sports superstars who fail as managers because they simply cannot articulate what they do. They get frustrated when their players can't execute a move that, to them, feels as natural as breathing.
So how did Miandad avoid that trap?
Well, Miandad's specific transition into a mentor and analyst proves something profoundly important about his underlying game. It was never just instinct.
Ah, okay, so there was a conscious framework behind the chaos.
Precisely. His enduring success as a coach demonstrates that beneath the surface-level flair, he had an incredibly structural, almost architectural understanding of the sport.
That strategic mind from his captaincy days.
Yes. His ability to read the aerodynamics of a pitch, to understand the psychology of an opposing bowler that is highly translatable knowledge. He didn't just rely on instinct. He used his strategic mind to successfully guide a new generation.
He gave them his operating system.
Exactly. He taught them the geometry of the field. He taught them how to think about the game 3 steps ahead.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've gone from the unpredictable pitches of Karachi to the massive tension of a championship final and finally into the coaching box.
That's a huge journey.
It is. And whether you are facing a literal last ball scenario or a figurative one at work, Miandad's story proves that pressure is a privilege.
And adaptability is the key to longevity.
Exactly. If you can manage your cognitive load, you can slow down time when everyone else is panicking.
But, if we look back at this whole incredible career, there's a tension that I think we need to deeply consider before we wrap up.
Oh, let's hear it.
If Miandad's legendary resilience and technical brilliance were forged by the raw unpredictability of those local Karachi grounds, and if his leadership was fueled by a fiercely outspoken, independent spirit that clashed with authorities, we have to ask ourselves a really difficult question.
Okay.
In today's highly structured, heavily regulated, and controversy-free environments, are we actually stifling the creation of future legends?
Oh, wow. If you remove all the friction, you might just lose the spark entirely. What a provocative thought to end on. We're going to leave you to ponder that one. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take that question with you, apply these mechanics of composure to your own life, and we will see you next time.